third recipe, we're looking at those who are experiencing a sweet taste. So now this one, so in order to balance a sweet taste, we recommend having either salty foods or something that's bitter. So for example, things like dried cranberries or buttermilk, sorry, not dried, frozen cranberries or buttermilk, or even things like dark chocolate or coffee. So for this recipe, we're going to make a banana decaf coffee ice cream to really pull up those flavors for making it kind of more bitter. Okay.
Yeah, and we chose to do this with a dessert because it's easier to avoid that sweet flavor if you're having savory dishes, right? But it can be frustrating for someone that wants something like a dessert to sort of balance that out a little bit. So we're going with, this is a classic Italian, it's a play on a classic Italian dish called affogato. Has anyone heard of that before, tried that before? Yes, we have one. So it is essentially a scoop of vanilla ice cream with warm espresso poured over top. Sounds very, very simple, but it is mind-blowingly delicious. And it's that combination of the bitter from the coffee and the sweetness from the ice cream. It actually cuts a lot of that sweetness out. Very, very tasty. So we're gonna add everything into one and kind of make our ice cream with that bitter coffee flavor. Yeah,
yeah. Now for some people, a coffee taste, like when they're having these taste changes going through, like I said, different chemotherapies or radiation to the head and neck, or even using different medications can cause taste changes. And for some people, that coffee, that bitter taste is just bad. So that's something that you could leave out of this recipe totally, if like that bitter flavor is just something that's not tasting good for you.
Absolutely. Okay, so the entire base of our ice cream is going to be bananas. We're using frozen bananas. If you've never tried this before, frozen bananas in a food processor, it's magic. It makes fantastic instant ice cream. If you don't like bananas, then most frozen fruit will actually work really well in this. So we're going to add about a couple cups in. So we've just taken regular bananas, chopped them up, put them in the freezer flat, and then once they were frozen solid, we stuck them in a freezer bag. Otherwise, if I just went straight to the freezer bag, that would be a massive block of banana, and it would be a pain to try to get it into this. So freeze it individually. That's with most things as well. So the banana goes in, and we're using, this is decaf powder, instant decaf powder, but you can use, because it still has the bitter flavor, which we're looking for. If you love your coffee, it doesn't have to be decaf.
Yeah, and we're using decaf in this for this example, just because, you know, sometimes people complain about it having fatigue, right? So during treatment or even the late effects afterwards. So managing, you know, the different caffeine, which could be a stimulant, can affect somebody's sleep schedule. So, you know, just being mindful. You could use caffeinated or decaf depending on what your needs are.
So we're going to let this run. Now I have no liquid in here, so it's going to get a little violent. So hold on to your food processor. And then if it's not, usually when the bananas are a little bit softer, they'll go a little bit easier. But if they're really frozen, you might need just a little bit of liquid in there, so you kind of just have to play with it. So lid on, machine on. You're watching this right now. Every once in a while, you might just have to push the banana down, but you can see how it's sort of breaking down into, what did you say it looked like this morning?
Cheese.
Cheese.
Feta cheese.
Yeah.
It kind of has the
looks like
little
oatmeal.
crumbs. Yeah.
If you thought it was cheese and tasted it, you would be very disappointed. Yes. Pulse it again. at this point, it's broken down quite a bit, but I can see I need a little bit of liquid. Now I'm using water. If you want it a little bit creamier, or even if you don't add calories, you can add milk, cream, almond milk or something like that.
Almond milk. Could you add coffee?
You can add coffee if you really want to rocket ship out of there. All right, beautiful. So, I don't know, that's not the greatest image, but maybe we can show you like this. So you can see how it's almost like that soft serve sort of consistency. Like super, super creamy, really, really tasty. And if you have it, there's a little bit more up here. We can just scoop that down, and that'll blend through. And again, at this point, this is sort of a base. You can add whatever you want in terms of flavor to it, right? But because we're sticking with a little bit of the bitter, we're gonna add some dark chocolate as well.
Yeah, yeah. And so dark chocolate tends to have less sugar, right? Because it's very bitter. It also has some beneficial antioxidant properties because of the flavonoids, but definitely making sure that you're getting a higher amount of cocoa, right? At least 75% or more. And you know, the ones that are your milk chocolates or your white chocolates tend to have a little bit more sugar and less bitter. So in this situation, when someone's experiencing that sweeter taste change, adding in the bitter flavors can help balance that and offset that.
Or you can add peanut butter.
Sure, to add some calories and taste.
And I'm just adding it to this. So a little bit of that peanut butter, because I think it just goes really well with, again, banana and chocolate. And get the natural one that's unsweetened as well. They do have ones that have added sugar. This is just peanuts, so it'll actually be kind of on that more savory, that salty side. It'll cut through a little bit of the sweetness as well. And the last thing is just a little pinch of salt. And the salt is something that might seem odd, but if you think of like salted caramel, I'm sure everyone's heard of salted caramel, right? That salt is going to help enhance the flavor, and because we have bitter in here, it's going to help to sort of balance that out a bit more. So for this dish, we're looking to cut the sugar that will, the sweetness, that will help.
And even yogurt is something that you could add in, like a plain yogurt
absolutely.
as well, because that also helps balance out a sweet taste.
All right, so final mix to get everything together. And that's it. So
Smells delicious.
if you're serving it right away, this will be like sort of a soft serve consistency. But if you want to set up a little bit more, then you can put it into the freezer for about 20 minutes and it'll firm up a little bit and it'll have sort of a firmer texture.
Yeah, yeah.
But this is, and classically, if you do want to go over the top, then you would pour an espresso, but I think we have quite a bit in here. Even though it's decaf, that's probably enough for the taste. And that's our banana coffee ice cream.
Ice cream. Yeah.
Nice. Awesome.
So.